saying I will call social services if my SIL keeps leaving her child at my place. I, 30F, have a half-brother, Enzo, 40M. We're not very close since we were both raised with our respective mothers, but he has always gone out of his way to help me with anything I've needed. Enzo married his wife Steph, 33F, 2 years ago. Steph has a daughter, Alice, 4, with her ex but has sole custody, and Enzo and Steph have a 7-month son Teddy. I also have a 3-year-old daughter. Enzo and Steph moved to the city I live in when Steph got pregnant, and since then, Steph developed a habit of showing up at my apartment building unannounced. It became a problem, and I talked to both her and Enzo about it, and she stopped, until she gave birth. Now, she regularly drops by unannounced to leave Alice at my building for babysitting while she has to run errands or something. She's had her carpool drop Alice off at my apartment before. My poor housekeeper is a wonderful woman who has had to deal with Alice arriving unexpectedly while I'm out, and I feel terrible about it. I've told the concierge not to let her up and to say no one is in, but then I'll arrive to Alice waiting in the lobby, which is not safe, and the concierge has told me I can't make them responsible for a child. Steph keeps saying she only does it when she's desperate, but I don't see how she can be that desperate to run errands at least twice a week, and frankly I'm not a nanny. If she's desperate she needs to hire some help. I've spoken to Enzo and he is always extremely apologetic and says he will talk to her, and I believe he does, but he also works during the day and can't police where she is at all hours. I reached my breaking point a couple of days ago when I returned from lunch to find Alice at home, having been dropped off since she had a half-day at school. I apologized profusely to my housekeeper who had spent time playing babysitter and called Steph, no answer. I called her several times, and then Enzo, who was on a business trip and distraught over the situation. Steph eventually turned up a couple of hours later and I went ballistic. I said if she ever leaves Alice at my building again, I will call social services, and I will call them every single time she drops Alice off with me until they do something, because this is not my job and she is an irresponsible and neglectful parent. She burst into tears and begged me to help out with Alice, but I said no and reminded her I'd never said yes in the first place. She just kept dumping her kid here. Steph kept trying to guilt-trip me, but I was too exhausted and upset about the situation to be receptive, and eventually my husband had to tell her to leave. I feel bad because, as I said, Enzo has never been anything but the most accommodating person where I'm concerned, and maybe treating his wife like that was harsh, but at the same time I chose to have one kid because I don't want another one. Steph can't use my house as a daycare. Was I too harsh? Comment 1. NTA. She may also flat out need to be told that you did not hire your housekeeper to watch her child. How unfair for her to be infringed on like that. Have you told her directly she is free to tell SIL that she is not babysitting / it's not what she's hired to do? Comment 2. NTA. Maybe I have been on Reddit too long, and please, if I'm wrong I apologize. Is Teddy really your half-brother's son? Is she going off to be with another man so he can see his son? At 4 a kid will blab that is maybe why she is not taking her daughter. To be honest, I would be even more positive it was an affair if she wasn't taking her son. Comment 3. NTA calls CPS every single time. Someone could take that child while she is abandoned in a building lobby for hours each time. Talking to your brother and her gets you nowhere. Do what you need to do. They were warned of the consequences you are prepared to give to their negligent actions. SIL should renegotiate her custody of Alice so that the bio dad has full custody. She clearly doesn't want to have her daughter with her, and she is causing irreparable harm to that child. She should also get checked to see if she isn't suffering from postpartum. Refusing to use my Mills dream name for my baby? Hi everyone. This is mostly a throwaway post because I'm mostly looking for peace of mind. I, 26F, am pregnant with my fiancé's, 27M, baby. We just found out we're having a girl, and the whole family is over the moon about it. This is the first girl that his family will have in 3 generations, so it's kind of a big deal. Anyway, since we told his family 2 weeks ago, his mother, 64F, hasn't stopped bugging me about what we're going to name the baby. She gave a name, we'll call it G, that she says she's loved since she was a child. It's the name of her mother's sister who died before Mill was born, and she always thought it would be a kind gesture to honor the memory. Because she had 4 boys, she was never able to use the name. So she's asked us to use it. Here's the problem. G was the name of my middle and high school bully. I hate the name. Thinking about naming my child this name makes me feel physically ill. My fiancé likes the name, but he says he understands how I feel. He tried to talk to his mother about it, but he must have said that I had the problem with it, so now, she wants to talk to me about it. I tried to tell my fiancé that this is none of her business, anyway, but like I said, this is her first grandchild and the first girl that their family has had in, 80 years, so he thinks that we should at least hear her out. So, I agreed to meet with her earlier today. When we spoke about it this morning, Mill told me that it was always her dream to have a child named G and that if I refused to name the baby that, she doesn't know if she'll ever forgive me. When I tried explaining my point of view, even offering a compromise of making a slight variation of G her middle name, my Mill started crying and saying that I was being irrational. She said because the name means so much to her, I should be able to get over my own personal feelings about it from a girl who was mean to me 15 years ago. Here's where I might be the R. I told my Mill that this baby is mine and my husband's to name, and she doesn't really get a say. She screamed at me about how I'm trying to undermine her, and I basically told her that if she was going to throw a tantrum, we couldn't have a conversation about this. Now, my fiancé is upset. He thinks we should just give the baby 2 middle names or just make the middle name G to appease his mother, but I can't do it. The main problem is that I haven't told him the extent of the bullying I endured. I don't like to discuss it, but G was essentially the reason that I ended up in a psych ward in the 8th grade, and to be reminded of someone so horrible when I look at my baby would be way too difficult for me to ever move past. I'm scared to tell him how bad it got because I don't want him to look at me differently. I know how it sounds, but I'm afraid. So did I go too far with Mill? Should I just tell my fiancé why I can't use the name? Comment 1. NTA. You should open up to your fiancé about the extent to which this is an issue for you. You're about to make a commitment to spend the rest of your lives together, you need to be comfortable enough with him to show this vulnerability. Also, if it was that extreme, he should be willing and able to tell his mother that the name will not be associated with your child. Comment 2. Fiancé, enough. Your mother has absolutely zero say in what we name this baby. I will not incorporate G into her name at all. I am growing this baby. I am giving birth to this baby. Do you notice how your mother has nothing to do with this process at all? You need to take off your rose-colored glasses and stop allowing your mommy to emotionally manipulate you. NTA. And stand firm. You may even want to tell your fiancé and his mommy that if she doesn't stop with her shenanigans, there's a very high likelihood she will never see the baby. Maybe he won't, either, if he doesn't start to grow a spine. Comment 3. When I was pregnant with my second girl, my mom tried multiple times to let her pick the baby's name. When it was clear that wasn't going to work, she made one last effort. Looking off into the distance, she said wistfully, "When I was a little girl, I always told myself if I had a daughter, I would name her Caroline." You'll get the irony, right? I'm her daughter, and I'm not named Caroline. I have both a first and middle name, like most Americans. What's more, I have 2 sisters. Not one of us is named Caroline. Asking my SIL to pay me for the cost of hair and skin oils she threw out. I, 32F, and my husband Alex, 34M, have allowed my SIL Julie, 34F, to stay in our house due to her STBX kicking her out after filing for divorce. Julie still has her job, but doesn't want to go through the ordeal of getting a new apartment while dealing with her STBX, and we didn't want her to have to stay in the hotel during that. I'm Indian, and Alex and the rest of his family are white. I feel like that may be relevant to what happened here. I use oils for most of my hair and skin care. I also use chemically manufactured products, but I found that it's better for my hair and skin. That's also how my mother cared for me when I was younger. Julie disapproves of this and thinks that I'm just going around town an oily and greasy mess, despite me repeatedly explaining why I do this to her. She's tried to convince me to switch to all chemical products she uses, but I politely decline each time. When I woke up today after sleeping in with Alex, I walked into our shared bathroom and saw the case of my oils was not there. I looked further around the bathroom to see where it could be and asked my husband if he had moved it. Alex said no, and that's when I went into the living room and asked Julie about the case. Julie gave me a smirk and told me that she had woken up early this morning and took my case out of the bathroom to drive to the other side of the community we live in and dump it into the garbage bin there. I was tired and thought she was joking until Julie bragged about it, saying that she did me a favor and that I wouldn't have to use such uncivilized ways of taking care of myself. Once her words sunk in, I was pissed and called Alex into the room to explain to him what she did. Alex seemed disappointed, but not surprised about what Julie did and told her what she did was disrespectful. Julie tried to defend herself, saying that she only did what she thought was best, and it shouldn't be such a big deal. I cut her off, saying that I wanted her to give me $76, which was the cost of the oils, so I could replace them. Julie got nervous and said she was in a tight spot financially, so she couldn't pay me back right away. I said that was fine, but I expected her to pay me at some point. After a small back and forth, Julie eventually packed a bag and said she'd be staying in a hotel to give me time to cool down and realize how irrational I was being. A few hours later, my Mel and Phil scolded me for making Julie uncomfortable in my home and that I shouldn't force her to pay for something so small. My husband asked his mom how she'd feel if Julie tossed out the hundreds of dollars of skincare she owned because Julie thought it wasn't good for her. My Mel just replied with "That's different," before telling us that I should apologize and then hanging up. Edit: my Mel and Phil are paying for Julie's hotel and apparently are going to do so until she comes back to our house. Comment 1. NTA. She stole from you. She stole from you. When confronted with that fact, she decided she would rather pay roughly the equivalent of what she stole from you to a hotel for a room to stay in so that she could wait out your anger. She's so ridiculously in the wrong here, but yet also so fabulously stubborn that she sounds like she's willing to die on this hill. Let her. Comment 2. So toss out all of SIL's chemical-laden products and tell her to stay at the Dawn Hotel. She was a guest in your home and abused your hospitality. She stole those products from you, and you have no reason to trust her on your home. Not to mental the "my way is better" racist superiority it reeks of. NTA, and none of them should be allowing in your home until they understand how awful her behalf was and make amends. Refusing to thank my Mill for a gift card she sent my husband and I for Christmas. My 41F husband's 43M parents live a few states away from us and we only see them maybe once a year. They are extremely well off, not that that matters, but I figured I'd mention it. We both work full-time jobs, but there have been times when we have struggled financially. A time or two my husband has asked his mom for help paying a bill, and she has reluctantly helped us. While I am extremely grateful for her help, and have expressed my gratitude wholeheartedly, she's the type of person who will never ever let you forget about every cent she's ever helped out with. She would constantly bring it up, and it just kind of felt demeaning in a way. Especially because I hate asking anyone for help, but these were times when it was a last resort. Fast forward to a couple Christmases ago, she mailed us a $200 gift card for Christmas. I work retail and Christmas is kind of a crazy time of year for me. I work late nights and long hours. When the card arrived I was at work, and my husband FaceTimed his mom with our kids to thank her for the gift. I intended on personally thanking her, but I just got busy and forgot. A couple weeks of my life consisting of basically just working and sleeping go by, and my husband mentioned that his mother hadn't called him in a while. He ended up calling her to make sure everything was okay and she went off. She asked my husband why I hadn't thanked her for the gift card. He told her that when he thanked her, he was thanking her on my behalf as well, and that I've been working a lot. She said it was unacceptable, and that I needed to thank her, because, to her I looked ungrateful. When he told me that his mom was angry and that I should just thank her, I flat out refused. Not because I wasn't grateful, but because she made such a huge deal about it. She obviously only sent it as another thing to throw in our faces, and not out of the kindness of her heart. Since my husband defended me, and I never thanked her, she blocked both of us on social media and hasn't attempted to contact us or her grandchildren in years. My husband knows she's ridiculous for taking it that far, but every once in a while he'll say something like, you could have just sucked it up and thanked her. Comment 1. NTA. It sounds like the relationship isn't very close. I really do think in that situation that the other partner can thank on behalf of both of you. Mailing a $200 gift card isn't like buying you a new house. Either way, cutting off contact with her own son and grandchildren for this signals that she's a wholly unreasonable and unstable person. This is a win for you. Comment 2. Huge NTA. That Mill is so entitled that her ego doesn't fit in her probably already big house. And the fact that she prefers to stop all contact with her own son over such a small thing just shows how much her son is worth to her. Now, that stinks for your husband, but it is still not your fault.
Pulling out of my family's Secret Santa after seeing the wishlist I got. Our family's Secret Santa as of right now has 20 participants. Not sure if this is a normal amount or if it's a lot. I've only been in SS's with 5 to 7 people at work. We have re-rolled 5 times, because we've either A, changed the rules after getting our recipient, or B, added people. We started with 10, decided to add spouses, then kids, and now random family friends. Our current rules are ridiculous, emo. We were told to put affordable gifts that a kid can buy, but everyone is putting their expensive life wishes on the list. Then, we have to get at least 5 gifts from the wish list, with no budget, and you have to declare how many gifts you are giving in the group chat to make sure you receive the same amount. Which makes no sense. You also need to add where your gifts can be found. A few people have also started saying that they are going to buy from lists other than their recipients. On top of that, everyone keeps editing their lists, adding and removing things that they think of. I've explained how inconvenient this is becoming, and even tried the angle of the financial burden being placed on the parents of multiple kids. There's 6 kids total in the group. Most of the group agrees, but are explaining that they are gritting their teeth for family's sake. The list I got today after a month of back and forth, I've been asking since this seems to be a serious project at this point, is riddled with luxury name brand items like Dior and Louis Vuitton that I know no one in the group can afford. Maybe 2 people can buy one of these items. And that's a strong maybe. Nothing on the list can be found for less than $200. And I checked. Did I mention that we are not allowed to deviate from the list unless explicitly stated that we can? Yeah. This doesn't feel like the essence of gift giving, or even Secret Santa. There's so many rules, no element of surprise. At this point, we are just giving each other items to unwrap. I'm one of 3 who followed the rules, and no one edited their list when this was brought up. My entire list is $100 in total. Edit: quite a few of you are interested in specific items requested from my recipient. The list I got includes luxury handbags, a PS5, Baccarat Rouge with the specification of no dupes, Dyson Airwrap, naked cashmere robe, a plane ticket to Bali. To name a few. The cheapest is a green Amazon Kindle which is $203 with tax. Comment 1. NTA and I drop out. I'd even do it in a family chat if there is one. I'd let them know you would be willing to rejoin with one gift for the person you drew, and a budget of 20. Otherwise. Comment 2. NTA. This sounds stressful and expensive. Usually, the point of a Secret Santa is to help relieve some of the expense of buying a lot of individual gifts. I think this is going to blow up in a negative way the way they're going about this. It's a complete, expensive mess. Let us know how it goes.